In this video I will be talking about fat acceptance and body positivity. So first of all, what is fat acceptance? Fat acceptance is a movement that tries to encourage people who are fat to accept their bodies and not try to change themselves. They want to get rid of the idea that being fat is a problem. So it's basically what it sounds like, accept fat, basically. And body positivity is closely related, but it focuses more on all kinds of bodies and not just fat bodies. It's basically just accept any kind of body. Often fat acceptance and body positivity activists will make claims about how you can be healthy at any size. So that's what I will be talking about in this video. So, do I agree with fat acceptance? No, I do not agree with fat acceptance. And here's why. According to the World Health Organization, overweight and obesity are major risk factors for a number of chronic diseases, including diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and cancer. So the health at every size claim is clearly problematic. Maybe not every overweight person or obese person will suffer from these conditions, but the risk increases and life expectancy lowers. So as I see it, this movement is just about wanting to feel good about yourself. It's not based off of science or anything like that. It's just basically more convenient to convince yourself that there is no problem with being fat than to do something about it. But isn't it good that people who are fat feel good about their bodies and themselves? I think you can feel good about some parts of yourself and bad about others. You don't have to hate yourself to recognize that you have a problem that needs fixing. As I previously mentioned, being fat is not good for one's health, and it won't become good just because you pretend like it's not a problem. I'm not advocating for fat people hating themselves. Again, you can acknowledge that you have a problem without hating yourself. Some fat people will take it like you're attacking them personally when you advocate for weight loss or against fat acceptance. But we're not attacking fat people as people. We're attacking one choice they made. A person is more than one choice they've made. They are more than their body shapes. So no, it's not a personal attack to advocate for someone making a positive difference for their health. But a lot of fat people seem to see their fatness as a crucial part of their identity. That fatness is not just something that they have, it's something that they are. But if your entire identity is built around your fatness, you're not a very interesting person. I'm sure you could find something about you that has nothing to do with your body shape. Your interest, your knowledge and so on, would it all disappear if you lost weight? Would the entirety of who you are as an individual disappear if you lost weight? If not, you have to acknowledge that fat is not who you are as a person, it is just one of many characteristics that you have. Is it good to feel good about yourself? Yes, feeling good is always good, but sometimes feeling good about yourself can lead to bad things, like health problems. When you suffer from these health problems, you will certainly not feel good about yourself. I don't get the fat pride thing. There's nothing to be proud of that you have managed to eat yourself to obesity. It is not an accomplishment, it is rather a failure. I don't really support people taking pride in anything that is not an accomplishment. I think pride is like a reward that you earn for doing something good, but I support even less taking pride in something that is a failure. Another thing I don't like is when people say that the fat liberation struggle is the same as the black liberation struggle. There is another social justice movement. There is a fundamental difference, and that is that you're born black, and you live your entire life as black, and you die black. It is not a choice. Being fat is, a lot of the time, a choice. Most fat people are able to lose weight if they try, and though it's not the easiest thing in the world to break old habits, it is not impossible. But it is impossible to change your race, so it's not the same thing. So fat acceptance people want us to change the way we view beauty. They want us to regard fat as being beautiful. So, is fat beautiful? Well, that's obviously completely a matter of opinion. There is no objective right or wrong when it comes to opinion. So I'm not going to say that it is beautiful or it isn't beautiful. From an objective standpoint, there is no right or wrong when it comes to that question. My personal opinion is that it's not, and society at large seems to consider it to not be beautiful. So the question is then, are our views of fatness culturally or biologically influenced? And my answer is this. It's not hard to see why we would be biologically programmed to be attracted to normal-sized bodies, since that is what the human body looks like. A too fat body does not look human, and it might sound offensive to say, but it's true. When we evolved as a species, thousands of years ago, food wasn't in abundance, so it would be hard to be obese. Also, the normal-sized body, as I've said before, is a more healthy one, and it would be understandable that we have through evolution become biologically programmed to be attracted to health, since that makes you more likely to survive. However, there seems to be some societies in which being chubbier has been and still is seen as the ideal, like the Pacific Islands. According to Wikipedia, it has been historically seen as more attractive, and the ideal seems to live on. In some societies it has been and is associated with wealth, which is obviously seen as a good thing. And in societies where most people are starving, it might actually make you healthier than the average person to have a bit more fat. Emphasis on the a bit, since being too underweight is also unhealthy. If you were to somehow lose your food and starve, it is better to have a bit more fat on your body so that you survive longer. You will sometimes hear people say that a couple of centuries ago, being fat was considered the female beauty ideal in the West. But if you actually go back and look at the paintings from that time, you will find that the women weren't exactly fat, rather they were chubby or plump. One ideal that has existed for women throughout history is the curvy ideal. In other words, big hips, slim waist and big breasts. This is not strange, since curves is what makes a woman look mature and fertile, and differs the woman's body from the body of boys, girls and men. The corset that was used for centuries was used to create this body shape. Sometimes it was used to create an unnaturally slim waist. Male beauty ideals throughout history aren't talked about as much, so I haven't been able to find as much information, but it seems like, though it has varied a bit, being athletic has been the ideal for a long time. It makes sense that athletic or muscular would be the ideal for men. It signals health and strength, which are positive attributes. It also differs the man's body from the body of a boy, girl or woman. So it seems like our perceptions of what's attractive is partly influenced by culture, but since there seems to be some things that have been considered attractive for most of history, there's probably a strong genetic or biological component as well to what we find attractive. Is the current beauty ideal bad or harmful? Is it unrealistic? So I don't know if I'm completely sure what the beauty ideal is at the moment. I know it used to be very skinny, which is not ideal according to me, but it seems like a lot of people prefer curvy nowadays, which I do myself. I think it's completely okay to be normal, you don't have to be skinny. I think most people think that way. If you have other qualities that are good, you don't have to look 100% perfect. Some people say that you should not encourage people to lose weight because it might lead to eating disorders. But that is like saying you should not encourage people to wash their hands, cause some people with OCD will get an obsession with it. Just because something can be taken to its extreme does not mean we should stop encouraging it altogether. Some people need to lose weight for their health, and we should encourage that. As I've said, we don't need to encourage people to look like models, but at least we should encourage them to have a BMI within the healthy range, 18.5 to 24.9. Also, in a country like the United States, it's about 2/3 of the population that is overweight, as I've understood it, and 1/3 obese. While the people who are suffering from various eating disorders like anorexia and bulimia, it's more like 1%, I think, something like that. So it's fewer people, at least, who are struggling with those kinds of problems than who are struggling with overweight. So I'm not saying those aren't problems and that they don't need to be taken seriously, because they do, but comparatively they're not as big problems as obesity and overweight. Is discrimination against fat people okay? Some fat people complain that they cannot go on different roller coasters, that they have to buy 2 tickets when they are on a plane. They consider this discrimination, but I disagree. I think you have to pay for things if you want to get them. If you were to go on a plane and get an extra seat for free just for being fat, I think that would be a kind of discrimination. The airline needs to make money, and to do that they have to charge you for the seats you take up. I don't think they should have to rebuild the planes, roller coasters or whatever it might be to accommodate for fat people. That would cost them a lot of money, and people who are so fat they cannot fit, there are a small minority who can, as I said before, do something about their problem. So I think that is what we should encourage as a culture, rather than accommodate for fat people. How we deal with the obesity epidemic is another question that I will touch on later, but I think our focus should be solving that problem rather than accommodating for it. What about workplace discrimination? I think that if a person is qualified to do a job, they should be able to get it regardless of size, but size can impair your ability to do certain jobs. If there's a job that requires physical activity, for instance, a fat person may be less qualified since they're less mobile, and that makes it harder for them to do the job. So in short, if it impairs their ability to work, I think you can discriminate, quote-unquote, against fat people when choosing who to hire, but I don't know if it would count as discrimination then. What about fat shaming? I think fat shaming is wrong. You're not making anything better by shouting fat pig at a random person on the street. And what do you know about their lives? Maybe they are already on a weight loss journey. Maybe they have realized their problem. One thing that especially bothers me is when people fat shame at the gym. Isn't that what we want fat people to do? To go to the gym? To exercise and become healthier? To fat shame someone who is doing something about their problem is one of the most counterproductive things you can do. Do you want them to sit at home all day eating and watching TV instead? Because if you don't want that, you should be happy that they are at the gym. You should encourage that. I encourage any fat person to go to the gym and work out. It is good for your health regardless of size. So what are the solutions? I think first of all we need to recognize that there is a problem. That is why I'm making this video. You're not solving the problem by pretending that it is not a problem. The first step to making a change is to acknowledge that there is a change that needs to be made. A lot of people say that diets do not work, and I don't think you can say that the diet does not work. It is going off of the diet and starting to eat like you did before that does not work. You failed the diet did not fail you. But nonetheless, it can be hard to stick to a diet long term, I understand that. Maybe gradually cutting down on the calorie intake may be easier for some people. If you need to count calories, do that. Every single calorie counts, even the ones you drink. Some people have recommended drinking only water, and if you feel like you can do it, do it. Water contains no calories, so you will get your calories only from food. I watched a program where it was a woman who ate like one sweet that contained, I think, like 300 something calories, and when she ate that basically every day, and when she cut that one out, she stopped gaining weight. So, you know, it can be pretty small things like that, like cutting out one thing a day, maybe. I think educating people from a young age on what food is healthy and not healthy is also important, and encouraging people to choose healthy food. The food that is served in schools should be healthy most of the time, and both children and adults should be encouraged to exercise. Some people suffer from binge eating issues, which are often a result of some traumatic or difficult experience that they have gone through in their lives. To those people, I would recommend to acknowledge whatever underlying issue they have and seek help for it. When you start to deal with the underlying issue, you can start to control the eating that has come as a result of it. Overeating can often be the symptom of a bigger problem, so only when you attack the root of the problem can you deal with the symptoms. Otherwise, I think that more research is needed on the psychology of the people who overeat. Maybe there needs to be research on medications that could help with reducing appetite for the people who really need it. We evolved to seek out fat and sugary foods, since that was important for our survival. But now in the 21st century we don't need that anymore, but our biology has not changed. It's hard to change a behavior we are biologically programmed to do, but we need to do something about it, because with 2/3 of the US population being overweight and 1/3 being obese, a lot of health issues will come as a result, and it will cost a lot of money. So in short, obesity and overweight are problems. The health issues that come as a result will not be cured by self-love and not acknowledging that it is a real problem. More research needs to be done on how to solve it, and these are the tips I have. I would love to learn more about how to get rid of binge eating issues and make a long-term positive difference for your weight, cause I'm personally struggling with that. So those are my views on fat acceptance. Of course you can comment what yours are, and if you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when I upload a new video, otherwise you may not get notified. I will soon be back with more videos, so stay tuned.